Today we are going to talk about how to have excellent ballet at a competition studio, part 4. So this is the 4th in our series. Today we are focusing on what to do when you disagree, because you will. You will disagree because your ballet teacher is an excellent teacher and very committed to what they do, and your jazz teacher is a very good teacher committed to what they do, and your hip hop teacher is equally good and equally committed. And just nobody gets along all the time. So how do we productively handle this so that everybody comes out feeling respected and the studio as a whole comes out even better than before? The first thing to remember when the ballet program disagrees with whatever your competition specialty is, we are on the same side. We are on the same side. We are all on team excellent dance education. If we can start with this foundation of we both or we all care about the kids, then it's a conversation of how do we best help and serve the children, and it's not egos. It's a question of performance versus craft, like in the emphasis of what's happening. So the genres that get competed, the genres that are your specialty, they tend to put more emphasis on performance. This makes sense because they are competing in those genres. They are going into your community and doing performances in those genres. That is your specialty. That is why people come to your studio. Of course, that's what you're performing. And then usually the craft, the how are we doing this, the nitty gritty, the getting into the details, the building of foundations and habits, usually that is focused on more in the ballet program, which is probably part of why you have ballet. So it's totally fine that we have different emphases, but we need to recognize that right off the bat. The trouble is, oftentimes when different genres have different emphases this way, we start relying on someone else to almost pick up the slack. The biggest trouble with having this split between performance and craft is that every teacher involved ends up feeling underappreciated, undersupported, and with too much responsibility than they can reasonably process. So when we split, everybody gets hurt. So I'm going to present both a short-term solution and a longer-term solution. So for the short term, when the disagreement arises, the person who brings it up saying, I need help with, or this is not working for me, the person that brings it up, it's really helpful if you can come with some examples of what help or support might look like. The easiest example is fouettes. It's fouettes. Kids perform fouettes in competitions ages before their craft and their technique catch up to that. And that is reality. You can have as many opinions about that as you want. It doesn't change reality. So fouettes are a really common point of disagreement. If you are the competition team director and you're coming to the ballet teacher saying, we need to work on fouettes, and the ballet teacher is saying, no, we do not. We are not there yet. There's going to need to be some middle of the road. What part of the fouette are the kids struggling with? If you can narrow that down, that will help your conversation be much, much better. And then ballet teacher, you listen to what they need help with. And then you look through your curriculum, you look through your lesson plan. Are you already supporting that? Or is that something you can easily support? Or is that something that is way far away? For example, it's pretty common for kids to need more hip flexor strength in their fouettes. But if your curriculum doesn't have them at 90 degrees of extension yet, they're not going to have it. Sometimes it's just not reasonable to expect ballet to do it. If the kids don't have 90 degrees worth of flexibility, that's a whole other thing. And if you're asking your ballet teacher to convert some of their classes into flexibility classes, you need to be very clear about that communication, because that's not usually part of the craft. Like, flexibility and conditioning are usually a separate class. So if you're the ballet teacher and you get a request to work on something that you just don't feel the kids are ready for, it's very helpful to understand what elements the kids need the most help with, because then you know what to focus on. And it's also very helpful when you can look at your curriculum and explain to the team director or the studio owner or whoever it is and be like, okay, this is where we are in the process. This is where fouette is in the process. This is the part of fouette that we're working on right now. So for example, in my curriculum, we do fouette in level 5, and those kids are about 12 years old. Like I said, I know they compete them much sooner. And there are things we do in earlier levels to help build that strength. But as far as the craft and technique of ballet is concerned, they're really not ready earlier. But I have this lovely curriculum, and when someone comes to me and says, we need work on our fouettes, I can say, okay, well, in level such and such, well, in level 4, one of the minimum requirements is a clean, turned out double pirouette. So we will work on that, and then you will have better turnout for your fouettes. Or in level 3, one of the things that we really focus on is pirouettes from 5th, which is a very straight up and down kind of situation, which will help them with their fouettes. Or in level 2, the kids are required to really be able to engage those knee muscles and really get a nice straight leg, as opposed to like, you know. Or like, I mean, if you're working with kindergartners and you're like, I'm not gonna teach a fouette to a kindergartner, you can say, okay, well, this is one of the foundations levels, and in foundations levels, we work a lot on spotting games. If you can help people see the stepping stones that you're building that lead to what they want and support what they want and are actively improving what they want, then the conversation becomes much easier. The follow-up to that is that you also need to make sure you are often and clearly communicating to the kids, this is helping your fouettes. The fondus that we are doing are helping your fouettes because you are keeping your line of gravity over your base of support as you bend a knee and bend your supporting knee and straighten it. Or yes, we are holding this balance and retiré a very long time, and I do not care that your leg is tired. You need stronger hip area muscles, your hip flexors especially, but your glute medius, like all of this needs to strengthen, because I know you have 12 fouettes in your dance. Whatever it is, you need to draw that connection very clearly and very often for the kids, both so that they will make the connection and bring their ballet work into their other class, and also because it presents a united front to the students. Your school is in alignment, we are in agreement, we are on the same side, and we are here to help the kids succeed. So that's the short-term solution. What specifically do you need? Can we break down that need anymore? Here's how what I do helps to meet that need, maybe not in the way that you envisioned. A longer-term approach to this performance versus craft split that we would like to weave back together is, can you share some of that load? So can you create a ballet performance? Can you do an October ballet performance? It doesn't have to be long. Maybe you do it in studio. Maybe you do it at a community center that has a really low rental fee. Maybe you create a cute little Halloween harvest ballet and you take it to different nursing homes. Can you find a way to perform ballet? This is different from putting ballet pieces into your recital in a disconnected way. It's a different mindset. And we just don't, when we're going from hip hop to contemporary to jazz to aerial to ballet to tap, we don't have time to get really into that ballet mindset, and we gain from the performance experience, but your students will gain more if they have the opportunity to have a dedicated ballet experience. And like I said, it doesn't need to be long. I'm not asking you to launch a full-length Cinderella or a full-length Sleeping Beauty. Like, I mean, if you want to, great. Let me know if you need help. But it could be really, really small. It could be pretty informal. But can we share the performance aspect with the ballet program? The flip side of this is, can we emphasize more craft in the other genres? And there are two ways that come to mind. The first is never, ever, ever cancel a technique class for a rehearsal. And I know that you're like, you don't understand. So many things come up. I do understand. I do understand. I competed in high school and then went on to dance as a ballet dancer. I have taught in competition studios for many, many years in many, many different places. I do understand. But the studios that have the most consistent growth in their students are the studios that do not cancel technique, period. By not canceling a jazz or contemporary or hip hop or Irish dance, whatever, by refusing to cancel the technique class, you are sending the message to your students and your families that the craft of that genre is just as important as the craft of their ballet class. And that's a really powerful message. Another fun way, I think it's fun, another way to bring more attention to the craft of your other genres is, I learned this from a studio owner named Rhonda Seavey. Her studio is not in business and then she moved out of state. I've kind of lost track of her. So I don't know if she has a studio now or not, but every year in the recital, she had a piece called Progressions. And it was a very long piece of music. Some years we were able to have a live percussionist, because I've been in this for her. Some years we had a live percussionist. Some years it was just a very long song that got looped. But it was literally progressions. And it started with jazz walks. And the itty bitties did their jazz walks, and then the next level, and then the next level, and the next level. And each time the jazz walks got a little bit more complicated. And then it went into chaînés, and then it went into piqués, and then it went through the bulk of the curriculum, honestly. And each level did the step just a little bit more progressed. Hence the name Progressions. I swear it took like 15 minutes. I was the line leader one year for the advanced people. Oh, you know what? It didn't go beginning and up. I think it went advanced and then down. And the only reason I think that is because I remember it being super, super stressful to lead out, because it was I had to remember the whole order. Anyway, it was hands down every parent's favorite dance. Like senior solos, those were wonderful. Those were beautiful. We're so proud of you. Progressions was always everybody's favorite dance, because it showed their dancers progression. They could be like, oh my gosh, I remember last year you were doing this and now you're doing this. And it showed prospective students, this is how we grow in our program. There are parents who have video of their kid being in it, like when they're 4 and then again when they're 18. And it was basically, it was always the same order of steps. The individual combinations changed a little bit, but it was always the same order. It was super consistent. It was a super, super easy way for parents to see the progress that their kids had made, which is a really rewarding experience. We always did that piece as the last piece in the first half of the recital, and then there was intermission in the second half. I think if I was pacing a show, I would put that as the finale for a couple of reasons. It really brings everybody's energy way back up. So the last thing you remember is super, super fun. And also it doesn't change very much from year to year. I do not enjoy finales. I don't. To me, they are a necessary evil, and they're highly stressful. And when they're complicated, they're always under-rehearsed. And if I were in the position to implement this, I would set it as the finale. And then, it's basically done. You're welcome. Another bonus to doing this type of piece is that in the process of creating it, If you don't already have a curriculum for whatever genre it is that you're choosing to showcase, you will basically create a really good first draft by making this, because you have to say, okay, what are the steps that we do and what does that look like in every level? So you will end up with like a finale you can use indefinitely and a curriculum, and that's like bonus. Yay. If you would like more information about my curriculum that I have created and used at recreational, competition, and pre-professional ballet schools, you can find that information on my website, geekyballerina.com. That is also where you can sign up for my monthly newsletter. I'm really excited for your studio to be able to grow and become more successful. I hope I've given you a few tips to help all of your different genres mesh together a little bit better so that your students can progress even better. When we all work on the same team, really cool things happen, and I'm very excited for you about that. And as always, I hope you have a really great class.